No worries. All right, I'm also going to share my screen. All right, wonderful. Can everyone see my screen? Yep.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. So the topic of today's session is about creating a new path and transforming lives through coaching. It's going to be very much an interactive session, and there'll be plenty of opportunities to ask questions. And we've also got some of the current participants on the call today as well, because we really wanted them to share their experiences of the program rather than it just being Philippe and Monica trying to share everything about what we do. We wanted you guys to get firsthand experience from the current cohort as well. So what are the things that we're going to be covering today? So we're going to go through the changing landscape of the world, not only because of the 2020 pandemic, but what was happening before that. There were shifts happening and people are doing things differently. How does the role of coaching and mentoring exist in today's world? What are those differences? That's really key and really important. And then how HR managers and staff can start to leverage coaching in the way that they work and operate in today's world as well. Then we'll give a high level view of the coaching program just to share what we cover, how it's structured. And then the stars of today's session are the current participants, and I'll introduce them shortly as well. And they'll be given an opportunity throughout this session to basically just share their experiences. So without further ado, right. So we have today, so I'm Monica, I'm the co-founder of Reach Outstanding, and I'll be your host today. So just moving everyone along today's session. Then we've got Philippe, CEO of Reach Outstanding, and the person who's spearheading the Reach Outstanding business and leadership program. And then our three special guests we have, and they'll introduce themselves shortly as well. We have Peter Reynolds, who's a consultant and a coach based in the UK. We have Fiona, who runs a health company and is also a coach based in the UK. Then we have Natalia, who, as she mentioned, she's wrapping up a career in the corporate world to focus on coaching and other things that she's really passionate about. So thank you all for being here today. I'm going to hand over to Philippe now to talk more about the changing landscape that we're operating in today. I think you're on mute.
Thanks. So thanks for that. So I wanted to quickly brush through this, kind of briefly go through the changes we've seen last year in terms not of just COVID, but also how the world is changing sort of leadership skills and how leadership is becoming more different in the corporate world, which was one of the reasons why we wanted to create that coaching school as well. So so what we've seen, and I'm also seeing it not just in my coaching client, but in some of the advisory work I do, is the employees of company want much more for the employers than just a job. They want them not just to manage them, but they want them to lead them. And they want them to lead them in a different way. So before, and it slightly shows my age, the manager was giving the task to the employee and telling him or her, just get on with it. But that doesn't work anymore, especially with millennials and even older generation. People are more savvy and they want the leadership to kind of have more of a servant leader approach and a coach approach and a manager's approach. And we've seen the change in many ways in the world of corporate. The first one is the market is picking up and we see more movement. But even a pure coaching perspective, the number of clients who have reached out to me and other coaches to have a new career, a new brand, and rebrand themselves to move have really rocketed over the last couple of weeks and maybe a couple of months. So to give you an idea, over the last 3 weeks, I've moved from a normal flow of client to 51 pre-booked coaching sessions over the next 3 months. So it's just crazy. And then everyone's is about the same thing. Help me get my brand, help me get me more marketable, and help me get out there. So that's kind of for people who want to go inside out. And also what we've seen is the virtual world has brought huge amounts of stress of people. And you now start hearing terms like Zoom fatigue, because everyone does a meeting, everyone does their life on Zoom to work. And then guess what? You want to talk to your family. What are you going to use? Zoom again. And that's brought a whole raft of symptoms and new ways of working and living that people need to cope with. And to help with that, some of the things the coaching can help you with is not just new opportunities, but it's also employers to help support their peoples, and coaching becoming a new key skills. And to give you an idea how fundamental the changes in the different job description I've helped executive write, the word coaching is now a mandatory requirement for leaders. So before you would have the technical skills and, I want a degree in this, or I want you to have an MBA. Now it's explicitly said coaching will be mandated, or coaching will be expected from you as a leader. So that's kind of in a quick nutshell, the change we've seen over the last few years, but that was really accelerated over 2020.
Okay, thanks for sharing that. And then just continuing on from that, then it's more about what roles are people in HR, leaders, managers, team leaders, or new managers, what are they playing in the new world? And I'll hand back over to Philippe to talk more around that as well.
Well, what's interesting is the two worlds seems to be amalgamating, and in the corporate world, this tend to be quite often interchangeably used for the same thing, where you say, oh, I can do mentoring or I can do coaching, and is it the same thing? It's actually really a fundamental difference, whereby, let me use a kind of a personal analogy. We've all been younger, and when you're young, I don't know about you, but I hated it when my mom told me what to do, because it doesn't stay with you long. You've been told what to do, you do it, and then, hey, forget it. Whilst if someone could get out of you why you should do it, and you come with the answer yourself, it's more likely to stick out. And that's really the big difference between the mentoring, where the mentor will give you the answer, versus a coach who will help you find the answer. And one thing we really stress during the coaching program we run is the big difference between the two of them. And we really make sure that the coach never mentor, advise, or consult with their clients. So I think that's my kind of quick 2 seconds definition, and I'm not going to go through the whole ICF definition, because I'm sure people can read as well as we could.
Okay, awesome. Thanks so much. And so just to bring in our current cohort into the conversation, so we've got Fiona, Peter, and Natalia. So what would be really amazing for the people on the session today, and also those who will be listening to the recording afterwards, is for you to share your experiences. So I'm going to hand over to Peter to kick this off. Tell us what you've experienced during this program, and what is it about it that you've gained so much?
Yeah, thanks, Monica. So hi, everybody. My name is Peter Reynolds, and just as a quick introduction, so I live in the very far north of England, the coal part, like most of it. I've had a very long and fairly successful career, but not necessarily a fulfilling one, which I'll come back to in just a moment. I joined this course partly on the strength of having worked with Reach Outstanding before and achieved some great qualifications and embellished my career for quite a few years now. I guess in my day-to-day role, which has been 35 years in the making, I've coached lots of people over the years, but not to any particular standard or method. And I've always had the feeling that I was quite good at it and quite successful. And the guys that have worked with me have gone on to great things in some cases. But starting this course was quite the eye-opener. So my coaching standard wasn't that good at all. I've learned some great things in the relatively short time we've been on the course. And it's really opened my eyes as to what coaching is and how it should be done, and what really is a good service to the clients that we support. From the very first time that the team got together really on the call, we've been learning, but it's been a comfortable pace. No one's been left behind. It's been very clear and very well structured, and we've all sort of confidently built our skills excuse me, over that time. And in fact, if I remember accurately, I think probably after about 3 or 4 weeks, we were already out there in the big wide world coaching people. Perhaps not with total success or conviction at first, but certainly within a few months, we'd reached a pretty good standard, and we continue to flourish to this day. So for me, it's been a great experience. I'm already thinking about the end of the course and starting to think about missing people that I've met on the course, because we have 10 other great classmates from all over the world with all sorts of backgrounds and experiences. It's been pretty brilliant, actually, and it's the highlight of my week right now at the moment. So hopefully there'll be opportunities for further learning with Reach Outstanding as we go forward. So more to say later, I'm sure, but that's my little bit of insight and impression of the course so far. So if I can perhaps hand over to one of my colleagues. Fiona, would you like to follow up?
Hi, Peter. Can you hear me, everybody?
Yes.
Yeah, super. That's fantastic. Thank you, Peter. That's really a good overview of what we've been doing. So my name is Fiona, and I'm based in Norfolk in the UK. This is my second round of working with Philippe. I was fortunate enough to meet him on another coaching course that he was leading in the arena of health and wellness. He was the lead coach there. My background, although I have an investment banking corporate background many years ago, I've been working in the health industry for the last 10 years or so. And last year I set up a company in the health industry, but that was based on consulting. And I decided that I would have a look into the coaching world. I didn't know too much about it, but I landed on the course that Philippe was leading, and it was immediately apparent to me how useful coaching would be in the business that I run. It totally transformed my own life, in fact, actually, my personal life, my own confidence in terms of running my business. And it was absolutely key to the changes that I've ended up making in my business as a result of learning these skills. And then when Philippe decided that he was going to run this course with Reach Outstanding on business and leadership, it was a no-brainer for me to join into this as well, because although my business is health rather than business coaching, obviously as the business progresses, I can see that I will be using the skills that I'm learning here, obviously as we progress and we grow, in terms of taking on staff and things like that. And plus the fact I have other ideas in terms of using the business skills that I'm learning in this to perhaps use those skills in another business idea that I've got. But I've got a lot on my plate at the moment, so I can't do too much more than I'm doing right now. But going on from what Peter was saying, it's been an amazing course. The people on it have been fantastic. Philippe just is amazing at educating you and showing you everything that you need to know and you need to learn, and presenting the information. And it's a very practical, hands-on course. You learn straight away what you need to be doing. As Peter mentioned, you gain confidence immediately in terms of taking on your own clients or practicing with, I mean, we practice within the cohort, but obviously as soon as you can try and, but even if it's just friends and family to start with, you gain a lot of confidence, and then you gain the confidence to progress on to people that you don't know in terms of the coaching. But yeah, there's an awful lot of benefits to be gained from doing the course. I can highly recommend it.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for sharing your experiences. And Natalia, I'd love to hand over to you and hear what you have to say.
My name is Natalia Gritskova, and I'm based in Dubai. One thing that I can thank my corporate career for is that through my company, I met Philippe about 2 years ago, when actually my company sponsored the leadership course. When we realized that we have a lot of mentors and advisors and consultants and taskmasters, but not the leaders within our department. And then as my personal development journey progressed, I've realized I didn't. I was doing much better and in my current role, and we have achieved their standards, the awards, everything. We're the best in the region, if not globally, despite the pandemic, lack of resources, and it's all because of the leadership skills that we've built and we practice over the past 2 years. But something I've realized that I didn't feel fulfilled, and I didn't feel the lasting the lasting kind of effect of or whatever the results we have achieved. So there was always something within me as like, there is still something, there's something about it. I really want to do something in the world. And then when I was looking deep inside of myself and what is it actually about, I realized that I would like to help young people. I would like to help the teenagers and maybe teachers, people that work in the education field, to actually help them know what they want in life, why they want it, and how they want to get there. And I learned from my personal experience and from experience of my teenage daughter when I learned about the course with Richard Standing on the coaching. And at that time, I didn't know why I wanted to do it. And as I studied on the course, and then my idea and my big dream kind of felt more real, and I said, oh yeah, okay, that's exactly why I am here. And I didn't start on the same pace in terms of the confidence. I didn't feel confident from day 1 or 2 or week 1, but definitely we were building the competency. Yet, despite my personal lack of confidence, the way I felt supported by everyone, by the whole group, by Philippe himself, I never felt I was judged. And it gave me the kind of the push to continue. And then with time, the confidence started growing, and it's probably the most rewarding what I have seen working with other people now, outside my work, looking at their results and looking at their results over the past time, over the period of time. It really gives me that joy and fulfillment, and I'm super happy that I'm on this course. And thanks to Philippe and the Richard Standing.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And we'll be hearing more from Fiona, Peter, and Natalia a bit later as well. So thanks for sharing those wonderful words. I'm going to hand back over to Philippe, and he's going to talk more about the importance of coaching in terms of empowering others. So back over to you. Are you there? Are you speaking on mute?
Yeah, I'm talking happily to myself on mute. So your sound is doing great. It's my mic, which is muted as usual. So yes, as I was trying to say to myself and to my TV screen, coach, as we all know, coaching is all about asking the right question, but it's also about creating a safe space. And that's a comment many of my clients tell me. I'll hear on a really regular basis, oh, you know, it feels so safe here that what I share with you, even my wife doesn't know about it. Or I've had a client where during a coaching session remembered an episode of when he was a child and how that stopped him all over his career and that we used to move forward. So it's many things that coaching will help you do. And you know, the myth that the coach need to talk or that kind of thing, we completely deflate it through our program. And one of the exercises we like the coaches to do is ask 7-word or less questions. And one of my clients, to give you an average, my session lasts 1 hour. With this client, I will only ask on average 6 questions for the whole hour. And every single time the client is like, wow, I've had so much out of this session. And that's the beauty of how we teach coaching here, is a really right, powerful question, and not a long tirade of pages long of ramble from the coach trying to advise a client on what he or she should do. And also the beauty of adopting the coaching mindset is how much you can transform the life of others. And it really works both ways, both from the organizational perspective, where it can lead to much greater productivity because the staff feel empowered, but also from an individual perspective, where you can really have people get a great sense of achievement out of a session. So that's kind of, from our perspective, what coaching and good coaching is capable of doing.
And as we move forward, why become a coach?
Well, it's an interesting one because coaching as an industry is huge. And when I mean huge, we're talking $3.5 billion huge industry. And what's happened with time is, as the industry is growing, everyone wants to brand themselves as a coach. And my pet hate is the $19 course you can get on Facebook. And the reason why I hate it is anyone can do the course, approach client, and I've actually been fortunate or unfortunate to inherit some of those clients who have experienced bad coaching and the result is done to them. So one of the things we do is really coach to the ICF standard, to the ICF regulation, code of ethics, and make sure any coach who finishes the training will be able to pursue all the way to have an ICF credential. One of the things we wanted to design the program is for people to be able to coach right from the 5th week and actually make an income from the 5th week versus wait for the end of the program. And we've seen some of our students making from 50 to 500 pounds per hour while they're still learning. So there's actually a way you could, through client and through what we teach you both on the coaching and on a branding perspective, you can actually get your return on investment and have the program refunded even before you finish the end of it. And to give you an idea of the type of coaching we teach and the impact of it, I'm going to use a personal anecdote for a minute. So a couple of months ago, I was coaching a client, and the client is a genuine country leader. So he runs part of a country, and we were having a couple of sessions and, coaching, doing the homework. And in November, we had the last session, and then I heard nothing from him for a couple of months. And 3 days ago, he comes back to me and says, hey, let's do the sessions. First thing he says is, I want to apologize that it took me so long to do the homework, but I wanted to show you really, really great results. And one of the things we asked him to do is how could he convey his idea in front of an audience? So he came back to me and said, well, I think I've done that quite well, because the reason why I took 3 months is I wanted to tell you I'm going to convey my idea in front of the United Nations conference that's happening in 3 weeks. So I didn't want to come with small results. I wanted to really do that, because what we're coaching about is generally life-changing for his country. But the beauty of the coaching and how we do it is you can coach anyone. But this is literally the kind of result. We've had coaches who after 2 weeks with a client have completely changed a client life. And I know a coach who was coaching a lady who completely changed her perception of her image, what she can do, where she places her own limit in her own life in terms of what's achievable and what's no longer achievable. And to this, it works. The beauty of this is it works, and we have client and students testimonial to go, yes, this is not a fad, and the level is really, really high. And before I just move on to the next slide, one of the things we've heard loads of feedback on our coaches is we have, for example, a different level of coaching who've thought about our client, wow, I've never seen someone coach to that level that quick. So the credit is to all of you guys here, like Peter, Fiona, and Natalia. You obviously have it, because this is the feedback we're getting in terms of coaching with the Reach Outstanding program. So what does that look like? I know it doesn't look like it, but I do have 30 years of corporate experience. Yes, I've kept well. Every single one is all about to get the ICF accreditation. And that's one of the things I'm really keen to do, because as I mentioned my pet hate earlier, at some point, the clients are more savvy and they want to know what they're buying. And one of the only way to know what you're buying is, are you accredited or are you not accredited? I'm not saying all accredited coaches are great and all none are rubbish, but in the future, there will be a differentiator. So what is the program made of? We have 70 hours live coaching session and training session and 10 hours of asynchronous hours, which count towards the total number of qualification. We have different coaching topics, but what's really important is we have hands-on practical application of what you like. So this is not me blurbing at you for 70 hours like university style, where you just listen and don't do anything. But then I thought, let's just take it further, because when I did my coaching training, my coach just blurbed it out and then that was it. You were left on your own. What we've decided is take it further. And how can we help you set up or enhance your business even further with branding, mission, vision, purpose, all that kind of things that will really make you reach the next step. And also, as we mentioned earlier, you can make a change and have clients from the 5th week of the program. So that's kind of what the business and leadership coaching program is all about.
Thank you very much. I'm now going to hand back over to our guest participants on today's session, and just to talk more about you as a coach, and also, just plug your business. Like, what kind of coaching do you do? How do people get hold of you? So I'm going to hand over to Peter again to kick this off, and then we'll take it from there.
Thanks, Monica. Well, very handily, I have my website up and running now. So achieveamazing.co.uk is your next stop on Google this afternoon, right? But basically, just a couple of things that I missed earlier, I just wanted to touch on because I think they're very important. And one of the things I think my fellow coaches will agree is that by doing the program, you not only learn about how to coach, you learn a lot about yourself. Right, so it's been a real eye-opener for me in terms of what I can and can't do. In fact, it's what I can do these days that I didn't think I could before the course. So confidence grows. I mentioned beforehand that the course is well structured. When you set out on the coaching journey and you see the agenda, you think some of the topics are so far into the future, they just seem insurmountable. But you get there at the right pace. You take one step at a time. And for me now, the post-Christmas period, the second half of the course is particularly pertinent because we're learning all those things about setting up our practices, branding our businesses, branding ourselves, all the stuff that I would have normally found extremely difficult and probably would have sought expert help and expensive help for. So now we're at the point where we are on the cusp of setting up businesses, or we have them established. We're charging and we're meeting real people in the real world for the first time. I myself have had quite a journey because I've gone from nothing, like most of the guys on the class. I've worked with 17 different people so far outside of the course, and 10 of those are current. And we're doing some fascinating things. And already I've got a few results creeping through. So there's a couple of people in my portfolio that have failed previously at getting a promotion, but through coaching techniques and helping them, they've now got that promotion. So it's real tangible results. And again, that just spurs me on to do even more and to listen to every little thing that's offered inside the course and make sure I take it on board and develop my materials and skills and so forth. As I said earlier as well, the biggest shame really is the course ending, because you meet all these strangers on day one. Through your shared experience and your practice and working together, you do build that camaraderie. And as I said, every lesson, it's all smiles really. It's tough, it's challenging, but it's a very positive experience, I think, for all of us. So that would be my take, Monica, on my experience of the course and how it's working out for me in the real world.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And how about you, Natalia? Anything else you want to add, and how do people get hold of you for coaching?
Thanks, Monica. I was thinking to compare coaching with the driving classes, because that's the way you get all the practical experience. But it's even better because I remember when I finished the driving school, I was freaking out getting on the highway, and here just a few weeks later, and after we started the course, and even before the midway, I was already coaching somebody, and exactly as Peter mentioned, the second half of the course, while we continue practicing all the skills we have learned as the coaches, that helps us to build our practice, to build our own brand, and to make it. It's not just a vague image what are you going to do in the future, but we are actually practically doing it and presenting and talking about it. And as the more we do it, the more crystal and crisp it is. And from my side, it is still in the making in terms of my coaching, practice. And so far, I've been in touch with some students and educational organizations and NGOs as well. Focused on transforming the traditional education. And also to add to Philippe's anecdote, I had a coaching with this student yesterday, and she shared with me that through the coaching, she was actually able to publish an article with UNDP, and it was so good that they have invited her to speak in one of their conferences next week. So I couldn't be more proud. Of course, it's all hard work, but when you see like the real results, it's like, oh my God, it's real. Thanks, Monica.
Thanks so much. And then Fiona, how about you?
Thanks, Natalia and Monica. Well, my business is probably slightly unusual on the course because, as I said earlier on, it's in the health industry. And in particular, I run a slimming clinic in Harley Street in London. And as I said before, adding the coaching into it has basically totally revolutionized how we run the business, from just purely consulting and educating. Adding the coaching element into it, it just accelerates results essentially, because you can tell people and give people handouts and try and educate people on what they should and shouldn't be eating and doing till the cows come home. But unless it actually comes from within, which is essentially where the coaching comes in, because they are creating their own habit changes and their own methods and their own way of integrating the information that we're giving clients, then that's where the beauty of the coaching comes in, because they absolutely can crystallize what they need to do, but they actually build it into their own routine, their own daily routines, weekly routines, what have you. So that's as I said earlier on, it's just totally revolutionized the way that we actually run the business, which is fantastic. On the side to that, I do obviously I've part and parcel of gaining the coaching accreditation is doing the coaching hours. So apart from that, I am actually doing some coaching with some business clients, and just as Natalia was just saying, it's very gratifying when you are coaching somebody. I mean, I've been lucky enough to coach a couple of people who are fairly high up in their industries, and when you see that aha moment when you're coaching somebody and they've got what appears to start with in the initial stages of coaching to be an almost insurmountable problem, and then you see that look on their face where you've dug a little bit deeper, and then again it comes from within and they're answering their own question in their own way, and they understand exactly where they can sort their problem out, or the issue, or the current thing that they're talking about. And it's really fantastic to actually get that feeling that not that you've helped them, but you've helped draw it out of them. They've helped themselves, but just with that coaching conversation, you've actually been able to help them sort out whatever it is that they've come to the coaching sessions for. So again, I couldn't recommend it more highly in anything in life generally as well.
Wonderful, thanks so much. And with this, when this video goes out, we'll also share the links of the websites for our guest today as well. There's another thing I wanted to mention is that as part of the qualification, we all need to submit calls, and those calls are highly scrutinized, and we're given feedback on the way that we've operated, the things that we need to improve, and that's something that's really valuable as well. So yeah, I think that's a great way to learn and build those skills.
I'll just come in there, Monica.
Sure.
So I think it's fair to say, and I should have mentioned this earlier, we're held to a really high standard. So it's not just a case of paying your instructor a fee for the course and then getting through it and getting a certificate. You're not going to get it unless you can do it, basically. And it does two things. I mean, it makes sure you're trained properly and you become a real professional coach to the highest standard. But it also means that when you leave the course at the end of it, you've got a lot of confidence. You know you can do it to the right standard. You know you'll succeed, and you've got all the techniques and tools in your locker. So in my case, for instance, I'm 4 recordings through the 6 that I need to submit from the real world. One of those recordings in particular took me 3 attempts to get it to pass. And I thought it was pretty good the first couple of times, and it clearly wasn't up to standard. So that was a great thing, that there was no just rushing it. It was done properly to the high standard. So not only is it good for your reputation, it's good for the school as well. So yeah, very important point you bring up.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. As we move to wrap up today's session, I'll stop screen share, and then our guests can ask questions about today's session or coaching in general. Just with regards to finding out more, you can book a one-to-one session with Philippe, and you can do that by going to the website, and you'll see a page called Creating ICF Coaches, and there you can book a session with him to find out more, and also just to see if you've got a fit with him for the course. So I'll stop screen share now, and I'll open up the floor to questions. Any questions? Ornit, anything you would like to ask or anything you'd like to share?
Yes, hi all. It was very, do you hear me?
Yes.
Great. So it was so delightful listening to you all. I have a question. I'm here in Tel Aviv, Israel, just so you know. So about the ICF, I would like to ask a question, the credential. I mean, I used to be here to belong to the ICF in Israel, but I don't have all the credentials, even though I'm like a 13. I've been coaching for the last 13 years, I think. So while I'm joining the course, so after I finish the course, can I become an ICF coach, or I have to, or it's just the hours that I'm getting in order to apply to the ICF again?
Great question. So the way to join the ICF and as they call a credentialized coach, which is a lovely Americanism that doesn't exist in English, it's quite lengthy. So the first part is you have to have an accredited course, which is this. The second part is you need to do 100 coaching hours that you can do during the course, even during student, because during ICF allows students to coach each other as part of paid hours or bartering. So when you have that, you have the 100 hours. You also need to do 10 hours of mentoring by someone who is going to be the level above the level you want to accredit at. So, and that's part of the course as well. So imagine, to use Natalia's driving analogy, the course teaches you to drive. The mentoring teaches you to do how to do advanced driving. And I'll mark the recording and the mentoring at that advanced driving level, which means when you do the very last part, which is to submit 1 recording to the ICF, you know you're going to clear it, because I've marked you harder than what the assessors will mark you when you submit that very final call to the ICF. Then the final bit, I told you it was convoluted project, but that's the beauty of the ICF, is 1 3 hours multiple choice. But through the mentoring, we prepare you for that final exam, multiple choice exam, with how to go through the competency or that kind of things. And the final beauty of that is especially being in Israel, where you're kind of between continents. The minute you become an ICF credentialed coach, you can also join EMCC, which is European Mentoring Coaching Council, and have a dual certification just by becoming a member. You do not need to resit another training. So you can instantly have 2 globally accredited and recognized accreditation with one single training.
Fabulous.
And to add to that one, so on Saturday we had an MCC coach join us as a guest, and he's the one of 5 in the UAE. And the story he explained about the coaching hours, he said that before he became an ICF coach, he had thousands of hours under his belt, and he thought to himself, why can't I just use those thousands of hours that I've got to add to my 100 hours? But something didn't feel right to him from an ethical perspective, because that was pre him starting an ICF program. So he basically reset his hours. He started from 0 and he built those 100 hours to get his ACC. So, and then now he's an MCC, which is, what is it, Philippe, 2,500
Master
hours?
Certified Coach and 2,500 hours.
Yeah.
And I had to do the same thing. I had 2,000 coaching hours before starting it. As part of a prerequisite, they reset the clock, because from now on you coach to ICF standards, which is much more stringent and much. It's not necessarily for you as a coach, the beauty is for your client. They know the standards they're going to get. And as such, one of the decisions they made is no matter how many tens of thousands potentially hours you've had before, they void them. And you start from scratch on that road with a specific set of standards.
Right.
And then when you actually go forward and you do the other coaching after you've qualified, all that experience of all the 15 years of coaching, that still comes into play. It's just it doesn't get allocated for the ICF hours. So that was the if that answers your question.
Yes, of course it does. It makes the whole difference. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks so much. What a great question. We've had a question come in from someone who isn't on the call, but they wanted to send a question, and that was all about earning a revenue. How does the Reach Outstanding School support people in earning a revenue? So Philippe, can you answer that? And then any of the participants can step in and add as needed.
Sure. So we really take it back from basic. And one of the things we're going to help you find is your true purpose. So why do you want to become a coach? And then when you have the purpose, we're going to help you build your practice or company, depending what you want, vision and mission statement. Then when you've done that, we're going to help you create your perfect buyer's persona based on who he or she is, the type of things they have, the type of environment and ecosystem they operate in. And then based on that, we're going to help you have the tailored set of services that exactly match your buyers. So that's kind of what we do inside the course. And I've done a really crude summary about how do we do it. But on top of it, we also refer you to different websites. So there's Numi, there's loads of different websites that we're going to help you with. And also one of the perks of it is because Reach Outstanding is not a practice, but it's a company. When we have huge engagement, what we've done in the past is tap on student coaches to see if they want to join us on those big engagements. So these are different ways we do it. And I've just been told that apparently Numi is recognizing Reach Outstanding as a coaching school within Numi. So any client who goes through us will be recognized by that coaching website.
Awesome. That's amazing. Thanks for sharing that news with everyone today. I'm conscious of time. So just to wrap up the session, does anyone have anything else they would like to ask or add to? Fiona, over to you.
Hi, guys. I'm just wondering, and you may have mentioned it, but I was slightly distracted there with my colleague sitting next to me. You mentioned about the EMCC. Is that something that we can join after we? Yes,
absolutely.
We can.
So the minute you become ICF accredited, you just join EMCC the way you join ICF. But there's I think they call it bridging. So they will instantly recognize your ICF ACC to, I think, is practitioner level in EMCC. So you don't have to take any training, and part of the coaching school towards the end of it will mention it, and we'll even give you the form to do it. It's super easy, but that's the beauty of having a recognized school to give you your ICF credential.
Fantastic, even better. Perfect, thank you very much.
Peter, Natalia, anything else you'd like to add?
Probably just reiterate what I said earlier around starting your own business. So although obviously we can't expect Reach Outstanding to offer its clients at the end of our course, you do have all the tools, techniques and pathway for setting up your business, for understanding what your niche is going to be, to help you focus, but most importantly, give you the confidence to set sail and be able to demand your price and tell people what you're doing. So for instance, Numi, it was a hot topic because we did a lot of work on class around branding and what we were offering and stuff. And I was literally able to cut and paste that straight into the Numi application form yesterday without having to think it all through again. So that was just invaluable, recyclable work for me.
Wonderful. I love the analogy of the sailing.
Yeah.
Natalia, any last few words?
Yeah, and then from my side, the support structure that is there, it's really invaluable. And then I mean I can talk about the fulfillment and how rewarding it feels like for hours, but I won't go there more.
Awesome, thank you. Orne, anything else you'd like to add? Anything you would like to share about your experiences in the coaching field?
I don't want to take much of anybody else's time. I will just, Philippe, can I say how we met? Maybe this will be interesting for the audience. Would you like to say a word, or?
You go for it.
I'll go for it. So I was lucky enough to meet Philippe 3 years ago. Can you imagine? 3 years ago in the boot camp of Tony Robbins Coaches Academy. So, this event will be forever a tipping point for us, because it was like a Navy SEAL training with amazing stuff and also some brutal stuff. Does this fair to say? Yeah, and but you know, sometimes when you meet somebody and you go through adventure with him, even though the actual meeting, like one-on-one, was only 10 days, it still holds like 3 years. Because and I've watched Philippe from Coaching Academy in Tony Robbins, and I'm amazed by what he has achieved and done, and I will, of course, I'm going to join. I'm not sure if April or maybe after it, but I can't wait to join, because it seems to do it right, because I've never done it right. I'm a coach. I love being a coach. This is my mission in life. This is why I wake up in the morning. I'm in love with my clients. Seriously. I'm grateful for this opportunity to make each and every one of my clients the best version of himself, herself. And I would like to dig deeper with you guys. That's it.
Wow, wonderful. Such amazing words. Thank you so much for that, Ornette. Philippe, as we close out the session, any last closing words?
No, I mean, it's been a pleasure to have all of you as always. And to build on what you said, Orny, the beauty is you won't bin what we learned with Tony, because Tony was great on NLP, and you can use that and supplement it with a different skill we do. So there's things we do different, because we have to abide to the ICF/MCC standard, but it's not a total waste, and that's the beauty of it. So, for example, I know Fiona really likes NLP, might do specialization in NLP after, and it's kind of add-on, like a Lego bricks versus, oh no, you have to bin it. So, but yeah, it was absolute pleasure to have all of you ladies being and Peter as well. Okay, today. So no, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of the day, and let's stay in touch.
Of course.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.